Hey guys, in this video I'm going to introduce you a theory that is backed up with quite a few popular theories, so let's just jump into it. In the season 2 finale, while at the House of the Undying, Dany has a vision of the throne room presumably at the end of the show, broken and covered in either ash or snow. In season 4 episode 2, Bran has a similar vision. Before I continue, let me just say this: while prophecies in Game of Thrones don't literally come true, visions on the other hand do. Finale, Bran's vision of the exploding wildfire. The remaining two visions that are yet to be seen are the shadow of a dragon flying above King's Landing, and the one in which Bran sees King's Landing in the winter with an empty throne room that has its roof blown off. The question we all need to ask is, was this vision of the throne room really a vision of the future event, or rather a vision of the past event? As we can see in those visions, the throne room still has a 7-pointed star on the window above the Iron Throne. However, ever since Cersei destroyed the entire Faith militant, there is no pointed star above the Iron Throne. In case you have not noticed, shortly after the coronation of Cersei Lannister, the Great Hall changed significantly. The 7-pointed stars on the windows are replaced with the Lannister sigil, with the lion facing towards the throne, as well as the 7-pointed star above the Iron Throne itself being replaced with the sigil of House Lannister, showing Cersei's new reign. So if Bran's and Dany's vision of the throne room was a vision of a future event, the crown would have to change its ruler, and that ruler would have to bring the 7-pointed stars back and place it on the windows. Taking into account that neither Jon nor Dany are influenced by the fate of the Seven, possibility of either of them taking the throne and redecorating the windows, while the army of the dead is marching south to kill them all, seems very unlikely to say the least. Upon rewatching the show multiple times and upon reconsidering all the facts and hints, I made a theory that Bran's and Dany's vision of the throne room is not one of the visions of the future events, but rather a vision of the past event. What I'm proposing is that the Red Keep will not get destroyed by anyone in present, but rather by the Mad King and Bran in the past. This would also be the last big twist showrunners are going to pull off. I'm aware that most of you are confused at the moment and are probably thinking, if the Red Keep was destroyed in the past, then how is there the Red Keep in the present? But give me a moment to explain. So far we've learned that Bran is able to alter the past, but it's yet to be seen if he can change it as well. In season 6 episode 5, as we all remember, Bran warged into a young Villas, resulting with Bran warging into present day Hodor as well. Hodor, under Bran's control, assisted Bran and Meera in their escape out of the cave. Meera, desperate and scared, screams hold the door. Still in the vision of the past of Winterfell, Bran sees young Villas collapse after his mind returns to his body. Young Hodor keeps screaming hold the door repeatedly until it slurs into Hodor. Basically, Bran's possession of Villas in his vision of the past broke young Villas' mind, and he hears the echoes of Meera's screams, which made his mind simple and only capable of repeating a form of the last words he heard before his death, Hodor. However, while this scene was proof that Bran is able to alter the past, it's not proven that Bran can change it, which is necessary for a theory of mine that I introduced you with earlier, but we'll get there. Basically, Hodor was always Hodor for as long as Bran knew him. Bran may be the reason that young Villas became Hodor, but the key point is that Bran did not actually change the past. He set the past on course that would become the present. The existing present time did not change. Hodor did not become Hodor just now, he has been that way all along. In this case, Bran is not changing the course of history, he's playing his part in a predetermined chain of events. Everything Bran did in the past has already been done, and we can already feel the effects of all those actions in the present. The question is, what other things has Bran altered in the past? Did he build a wall? Were the whispers the Mad King heard that eventually caused him to go mad were actually Bran's whispers? Was it Bran himself who made the Mad King mad? Book readers as well as show viewers alike have heard many tales of the Mad King, Dany's father and Jon's grandfather, the ruler of the Seven Kingdoms before Robert Baratheon usurped the throne. Aerys was known as unstable and paranoid, convinced that those around him were conspiring. However, Aerys II was in fact not always mad. While somewhat arrogant and hot-tempered, he was also charming and ambitious in his early age. When his reign started, he made the realm recover from the events at Summerhall and from the war. Aerys even proclaimed that his goal was to be called Aerys the Great or Aerys the Wise. However, Aerys then started hearing voices that eventually made him mad and paranoid. We know that the Mad King was repeatedly saying burn them all in the later stages of his life. Could that be a Hold the Door incident 2.0? As I already pointed out, the king was not always mad. Then one day something happened that got him obsessed with a phrase that caused him to mentally slip. Sound familiar? This is exactly the same thing that happened with Hodor. What if it will be Bran who will travel back in time to warn Aerys Targaryen about the Night King and his army, only to realize it's him and his warning words that actually made Aerys mad, which resulted with the Mad King burning the Starks? It's definitely not out of the realm of possibilities that the reason why Aerys kept repeating the phrase "burn them all" is because Bran traveled back and tried to warn him of the approaching White Walkers. There's evidence that Bran's had an even greater impact on the past. Bran shares his name with many legendary Bran StRks throughout the history of his house. The most famous of these is Bran the Builder, the architect of the wall. There's a theory claiming that all the great achievements by these Brans were made possible because the current Bran influenced them through whispers. The major piece of evidence for this theory comes from George R. R. Martin's first book, in which it's noted that Bran's caretaker, Old Nan, would sometimes speak to Bran as if he's one of his ancestors. The passage reads she had lived so long, Mother had told him once that all the Bran StRks had become one person in her head. In the video about the history of Westeros in the Game of Thrones DVDs, there were glimpses of Bran the Builder being carried on a platform. Who else is crippled? Yeah, exactly. To make things even more interesting, the video is narrated by Isaac Hempstead Wright, who plays Bran on the show. In my opinion, this image of Bran the Builder being carried on a platform was most certainly a subtle hint that the show creators had given in the video. Anyways, what I'm proposing in my theory that I mentioned in the beginning of this video is that the popular assumption of Bran not being able to change the past or present is not correct. In my opinion, we will see a huge twist regarding how much influence Bran can have over the past. Given his tendency to ignore advice of wiser people and his irresponsible use of his powers, there's a good chance that we could see Bran attempting to change the past. Let's take a look on a scene from Season 6 Episode 3, Past. It's very important to highlight when Bran questioned whether or not his father heard him, the Three-Eyed Raven did not deny the possibility of that being true. In fact, he seemed to think that it could be the case, but nevertheless he wanted Bran to leave the vision as soon as possible, whereupon he warned Bran not to interfere with the past. Maybe he knew Bran had the power to make contact with other people in this vision, and didn't want Bran to accidentally change the course of history. Just like on the show, Eddard Stark also seemingly heard his future son's voice in the books as well. Let's take a look on Bran's last chapter in A Dance with Dragons. Lord Eddard Stark sat upon a rock beside a deep black pool in the Godswood, the pale roots of the hard tree twisting around him like an old man's gnarled arms. The great sword ice lay across Lord Eddard's lap, and he was cleaning the blade with an oilcloth. Winterfell Bran whispered. His father looked up. "Who's there?" he asked. If naturally did hear his future son's voice, then Bran could in fact be able to change the past, which would automatically change the present as well. In my opinion, Bran has already changed the past by calling out to his father. It may have not been a significant change, but it could still prove that he is able to do so. So there certainly is a chance that Bran can actually change the past, and in some way communicate with people from different time periods. And if true, this would be a major game change regarding the outcome of the Great War. Perhaps the Three-Eyed Raven was wrong when he said that the past is already written. Additionally, in this scene, he seems to know that Bran wields huge power, and is in fact able to rewrite the history, because if Bran could not do it, then what would be the point of him warning Bran not to interfere with the past? By my theory, Bran will do exactly what the Three-Eyed Raven warned him not to do, and it will result with the Mad King burning down the whole capital. As I already said, this would explain the 7-pointed star being above the Iron Throne, even though there is not one ever since Cersei destroyed the High Sparrow and the Faith Militant. Bran and Dany's vision of what we assume is a vision of a future event would turn out to be one of the visions of the past events. If this theory of mine comes true, even though most of the current characters would still be around, it would certainly change the course of history and present. For an example, Bran would still be born to Ned and Catelyn, as the Mad King already killed Ned's brother that was supposed to marry Catelyn before he burned down the capital. However, some of the main characters, like for example Jaime, will be burned alive along with the Mad King, as he was in the Red Keep as well, and this would result with some main characters that are dead to be alive in the present. One of those would be Ned Stark, since with Jaime being dead, King Joffrey would not exist in a rewritten history, and Ned Stark would not be beheaded for false treason. Anyways, this theory of mine could be a product of my overthinking, and Bran and Dany's vision of the throne room might actually be a vision of the future event, as the 7-pointed star above the Iron Throne could be nothing more than a continuity mistake. And as always, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to subscribe to our channel, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.